Alright, what's going on, guys? I am TJ, bringing you guys a brand new video on my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the trade that just went down in the NFL. Now, if you guys weren't aware, Amari Cooper from the Oakland Raiders, wide receiver, obviously. If you watch my channel, you should know that Amari Cooper's a wide receiver, but he was just traded from the Oakland Raiders to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2019 first-round pick, and to me, when I initially saw this trade, I was just like, what are the Cowboys doing? This is a very, very, very good wide receiver draft class. To me, it's better than the one that we just had in the 2018 draft. I mean, there were guys like Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Michael Gallup. There were a couple other good wide receivers that aren't hitting off the top of my head right now. But this wide receiver class in the 2019 draft that's upcoming, they've got N'Keal Harry, who in my opinion is the best wide receiver. The dude's a freak of nature. He's like 6'4", 220. He can go up and get any ball in the world. This isn't a scouting video, but I'm just giving like the pros and cons of N'Keal Harry, not Malik. But he's a really, really good wide receiver. You also have AJ Brown out of Ole Miss, who's really, really good. Stanley Morgan Jr. out of Nebraska. You've got, I was going to say Almon Richards, but he had a neck injury out of Miami. There's a lot of good wide receivers. Anthony Johnson from Buffalo, Emmanuel Hall from Mizzou. It's a really, really good wide receiver class. And to me, the Cowboys giving up a first-round pick, it would have depended on who they like coming out of this draft. If they thought that none of the guys were really good enough and they didn't want to have, a developmental period, if they just wanted a star, a guy who could come in and contribute from day one, then I guess this is a win. And Amari Cooper is a little bit younger in terms of wide receivers. He's only like 24 years old, and that's like only a few months. I think he's only a few months older than Calvin Ridley, who was just picked in this year's draft. Amari Cooper was super young when he came into the NFL. He was like 20 years old. So I guess the Cowboys are thinking, why wouldn't we waste, we can afford to give up this draft pick if we trade for Amari Cooper, because maybe they thought already in their heads, we're going to take a wide receiver. So if that's the case, then, get Amari Cooper for the first round pick. If you were definitely going to take a wide receiver, that's a good mindset. But I feel like there's some other needs that they could have gone out. Gosh, I can't talk today. Could have gone out and gotten in the draft, and I feel like they may have had the potential to sign a free agent wide receiver. But the class is all wishy-washy. You can't depend on people to be there. And I just felt this is like a really strong wide receiver class, and I just wasn't initially impressed by the Cowboys move. I was kind of like, what are they doing? They're giving up a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, and I'm just not a really big Amari Cooper guy. It's not because he plays for the Raiders. If I see a guy who's got really good talent, then I'm gonna say they're a really good player. Not even if they are on the Raiders. Like I love Mo Hurst out of Michigan. It's kind of a Michigan bias, but I feel like he was a really good draft pick for them, and he's really good. So I'm gonna say he's really good, even though he's on the Raiders and they're like one of the Chiefs' biggest rivals. Anyway, off of that tangent, Amari Cooper to me is just super, super inconsistent. Like last year, I think it was a Thursday night game when we played the Raiders. He had like 210 yards and then didn't go over 100 yards for like 5 or 6 more weeks in the season. He has like the most number of games with like 10 or less receiving yards than any wide receiver in the last like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Like any first round wide receiver. It's just crazy. The dude is just really, really inconsistent. I don't know if I trust him very much, but then again, I've been looking at Raiders film and stuff like that and watching Amari Cooper, and he doesn't really seem to be a feature player. John Gruden loves his tight ends. He had really good ones when he was in Oakland and Tampa Bay, and who else was he with? I think he also might have been with Green Bay when Brett Favre was there. They had Andy Reid and all them. Anyway, he just doesn't seem like he's made a focal point in the offense, and that may have upset him. But I don't know if he asked for a trade or if the Raiders just said, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and trade you. But I feel like this is a good thing for Amari Cooper. Derek Carr has been playing absolutely terrible this entire season, and to me, he's pretty overrated too. Along with Amari Cooper, they're two of the most overrated players in the NFL. And I don't really know if Dak Prescott is all that much better, but to me, the Cowboys are so heavy in the run game that's gonna open up the pass game a lot more, and it'll give Dak Prescott a number one, big play wide receiver. I keep saying that I'm just really mixed on Amari Cooper, because I trust him that he can go off for a big game, like 210 yards like he did against the Chiefs last year, but I also think that he could go get 10 yards, like 2 catches for 10 yards. It's just all about him. It's up to him. The dude can beat man coverage. He's a really good route runner. He just got really inconsistent hands. He drops a lot of balls, and he just seems to not be a feature in the Oakland offense, so that's why this year I've been kind of low on him. But this is a good pick for the Cowboys if they were going to go out and get a wide receiver in the draft. If they, I know I've said it, this is kind of a repeat, but if they were targeting a wide receiver with their pick, going out and getting one isn't a bad move. But Amari Cooper, they've just got to rely on him. They've pretty much got half of Amari Cooper. What they bet on is half of Amari Cooper. There's the half half of him that can catch 10 balls a game and go off for 150 yards, and then there's the half of him that'll catch 2 balls a game and drop 3 and only go for like 20 yards. So that right now they're betting that Amari Cooper will be the better half rather than the half that is very inconsistent. Now looking at it from the Raiders perspective, I do think that this is a good move for the situation that they're in. We saw earlier in the year before the season started, they gave up Khalil Mack for 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. They were willing to, that was more of like a contract situation thing. They weren't going to give him the money that he wanted. He was like, okay, I kind of want out. And they were like, we'll get you out. And John Gruden, I don't really think, I talked with him in the video that I made a couple months about when they traded him. I don't think they really vibed together. They never really met or talked, and that's the case with a lot of players on this team. This team just seems to be falling apart right now, and I think that that is the best for John Gruden. I think he wants to get his guys in there, and he wants to, you know, get his system in there. He wants to get guys that can run in his system, and I don't think that he thought that Amari Cooper was going to be one of those guys, and because there was probably just a lot of locker room dissent between the coaches and players and, you know, John Gruden in the front office and stuff like that. But the front office obviously supports John Gruden, and they are going to do, you know, what they need to do to get his guys in there so that he feels comfortable coaching his team, and that obviously started with getting rid of Khalil Mack for 2 first-round picks, and now it starts with getting rid of Amari Cooper for another first-round pick. To me, I feel like it's good for them. I've said it earlier when talking about the Cowboys perspective, you know, he's inconsistent, and I feel like John Gruden needs a wide receiver that's going to be there every single game, who's going to catch the balls, who's going to run the routes, and who's going to be a guy that he can involve in the offense. I guess he just thought that Amari Cooper wasn't that guy, and we've seen, you know, their 2 biggest stars, arguably their 2 biggest stars in Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper get traded. Derek Carr might be next. There was a video that was just put out today of, you know, apparently Derek Carr losing the confidence of his players, quote unquote, or like losing the trust of his players because he was crying on the sidelines during one of their more recent games, and he denies that. Obviously, I think you're gonna deny that if you're an NFL player and you get caught crying on the bench, but there just seems to be a lot of turmoil going on in that Raider locker room, and I feel like Derek Carr is gonna be the next guy that gets shipped out. We saw, if you guys pay attention to like the Gruden QB football camps, it's like one of my favorite things to watch because Gruden's just, you know, he's that guy. He's just such a character. It's so funny. But he was really high on Derek Carr. He really liked him coming out of Fresno State, and he thought that he was a day 1 guy. Obviously, Derek Carr fell at the 2nd round where they took Khalil Mack and Derek Carr in the same draft, which is one of the, you know, has turned out to be one of the better drafts in the last few years. You know, he might be next. Derek Carr, I don't think has been playing very good. He's not adapting to Gruden's system very well. He'll probably be gone maybe at the end of this season. I don't know for sure, but I mean, if I was John Gruden, you know, I would want to get a guy in there who could, you know, who is a guy that really fits my system. I don't know if Derek Carr is the guy that fits John Gruden's system. He's not necessarily like an old school type football, you know, head. He doesn't necessarily just like pound the rock all the time, but he relies heavily on the run game. He did that in Tampa Bay and in Oakland because that's where he was before. He did that in Tampa Bay and he did it in Oakland. He had 2 really good running backs. I think he had Deuce McAllister when he played in Tampa Bay. He might have had Deuce McAllister in Tampa Bay. I think he had Warwick Dunn in Tampa Bay too. And then when he was with Oakland, he had Tyrone Wheatley and another really good running back whose name is escaping me. But those are some big power running backs, and that's what he got in Marshawn Lynch. But Marshawn Lynch is an older guy. He may want to go out and get a running back in this next year's draft or sign one in free agency. You know, I just feel like he's not comfortable and the players aren't comfortable with each other. So, you know, I don't think this is the last move that the Raiders make all season. I thought that the Khalil Mack one was going to be the last one they made, but now they're shipping out another young star. So we'll just have to see where that goes. But overall, just talking about, you know, in the essence of the trade, I feel like the Cowboys got what they wanted and the Raiders got what they wanted, but I feel like the Raiders win more with what they got rather than what the Cowboys win. Like obviously each franchise got what they wanted, and that's why the trade went through, because nobody's going to trade for something that they don't want unless it's just, you know, a cash dump or something like that, and the other team has the cap, like what the Hawks did with Carmelo. Like they traded for Carmelo and then cut him because they had all the money to. But I just think this is going to benefit the Raiders more. Now they have 3 first-round picks. The Bears are looking good, so their pick is probably going to be later. The Cowboys aren't looking great, so their pick might be in the middle of the draft, and the Raiders suck, so their pick is going to be pretty high, probably another, at this rate, I think it's probably going to be another top 6 or 7 pick, I feel like is what they're at right now. So they're going to have layers, so they're going to be able to take a high tier player. I mean, anybody you pick in the first round should be a high tier guy, but they're going to be able to get 3 first round picks, like a really talented prospect, a really like highly respected one, probably a pass rusher is going to be their first guy that they take. Depending on how high their pick is, they may end up getting a guy like Rashawn Gary or Joey Bosa or something like that. Then their next pick, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they're going to still get, you know, 3 first round picks. Like that's just crazy to me that they have gotten all these picks. But Gruden's going to put together, he's going to scout his guys out of college because he's done that very well. At least, you know, when he was on, you know, the Gruden QB football camp and all that stuff, he really knows how to, understand college game and stuff like that. So I feel like once he gets his picks in, this Raiders team will turn itself around and it'll be all good. But as of right now, I feel like the Raiders in the long run will probably be the beneficiary of this Amari Cooper trade. All right, so that is my opinion on the Amari Cooper trade. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section below. Do you think the Cowboys won? Do you think the Raiders won? Or, if you just want to leave me your opinion down in the comment section below just about anything related to, this whole situation, go ahead and do that. I'll try and reply. If it's a positive comment. If it's negative, then, you might catch a delete or a block or something like that. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm TJ, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.